It's the will to fight and determination to win, found inside each and every Marine.
Get up! Go!
The minute I got to the top of the ridge, they had set it off an IED and it hit the truck. And one friend of mine was killed and I was hurt real bad.
Severed artery in his leg, he'd lost the hearing in his left ear, he had a concussion, horrendous shrapnel injuries down his entire left side.
The first day that we took over our sector, we had my old company commander was killed, and one of my good friends was killed, and there was another guy that, he lost his leg, and 2 other guys got wounded. It really made it real, and very quickly. So it was, it was no longer a game at that point.
That invincibility, that buying into Marine stuff, it ends that first day. And certainly each firefight after that, I mean, you quickly learn that at any second, you can be dead.
Lance Corporal Chad B. Maynard, age 19. Staff Sergeant Justin L. Vasquez, age 26.
A recruiter told me about the Army, the educational benefits. They were right there beside me, and I got my bachelor's degree.
They always tell you, oh yeah, you'll be able to go to school while you're in the military, right? Okay, so 4 years, 3 rotations to Iraq, you got a rotation to Afghanistan, half your unit's always gone, so you're super busy trying to pick up the slack. When are you studying? When are you going to college?
And that's a story you hear all over the place about people who joined. They were promised an education right after boot camp, and then they're 2 tours later, they're still trying to find their way, back to a normal life. Forget about going to college.
They talk about getting a free education. Well, it's not really a free education if you might not be paying monetarily, but you're paying with your body, you're paying with your soul, you're paying with your mind.
With the Navy Reserve in my life, I've been able to expand, to learn new skills. It's made me a better person entirely.
Well, I'm a great killer. I know how to blow up bridges, buildings, and people. I know how to dismantle mines.
I was lost when I got out. I had to start from the bottom. I was a security guard. I've been a housekeeper. I've been a receptionist.
Officer Candidate School.
Right now our main mission is to train, screen, and evaluate potential Marine officers and make sure that they have the leadership ability that we would want of a Marine officer.
Just because you're becoming an officer doesn't alleviate any of the ethical or moral problems, and you are ultimately responsible for what happens. As my training progressed, I saw that where I was really concerned with talking the talk and walking the walk, it didn't feel like others were so concerned with that. And so that really started getting to me, because this is not working at a supermarket where you can come in and just kind of like skate by and you can do the bare minimum and you're not going to get anybody hurt or killed. This is totally different.
If I had a friend ask me what the process was coming in and talking to a recruiter, I'd tell them just go in and they will square you away with anything that you want to know.
You have to be very meticulous in your method of question asking when you talk to a recruiter. It's like talking to the devil. Because the devil will tell you the truth, but only the piece of the truth he wants you to hear.
They didn't tell me that I was going to, go to war so much. They didn't tell me that I was going to go on 4 deployments.
And any veteran that you talk to, and a lot of active duty members will even admit that they were lied to at some point in the recruiting process.
I had a recruiter that took me in underneath his wing and taught me the right way, on how to recruit and forget about what they taught you in recruiter school. When you get out onto the streets of America, things are different. When I was now being asked to lie or fraud, I started to wonder to myself, what else did they lie to me about?
don't care about those other promises that the recruiter broke, but the one promise that wasn't in writing that recruiter told Casey was that even if there was a war, Casey wouldn't see combat. He was in Iraq for 5 days before he was killed.
Like, I joined the military because I really wanted to help people. You know what I mean? I meant what I said in my oath of enlistment. I really, really did. But the military really, really didn't. You know what I mean? Right down to finding out that my military contract is not at all in a contract. It's an agreement that we enter into that is subject to change by them, but not subject to change by me.
You have to live up to all these standards and commitments, but the Army doesn't have to do anything. They can change anything they want about your contract pretty much at any time. So say it's an all-volunteer Army. I volunteer for 4 years. Well, the Army decides they want to keep you for 6 years or 8 years, and they can do that.
3 to 4 months before the end of my 8-year contract, I got stop lost and I got put on orders to get sent to Iraq, and I was sent to the Middle East and then to Iraq. And that's how I ended up going.
Growing up in a Hispanic household, my parents always taught me dignity and respect. Now that I'm in the Army, I clearly understand what those words really do mean to me.
I had come here from Costa Rica. I was a recent immigrant. And I was basically just making minimum wage without the possibility to go to school. I had no friends, I had no sense of purpose, really. I just happened to be home when the Army guy called.
I've heard this term being thrown around about the economic draft. I wasn't drafted, but I felt like that my economic situation really pushed me into the military.
I used to recruit in this school. This school is predominantly working class. You see the refinery in the background as we were coming in. That's pretty much the mainstay source of income and revenue other than retail shops. We have a class system in America, and the poor really do fight the wars.
There's nothing around here but crack fiends and broken dreams. You try to, make it through, like your plans, like your goals in life, or either sell drugs or be locked up or dead. Those are your choices. Recruiters, they aim at people, young black, young Hispanic, Caucasian, anybody, like who they think, well, he's not gonna make it in life. You don't have a plan in life. The recruiter comes down and tries to save the day. He's Superman. Shells, cases, body bags around here. I'm glad that I didn't swear in.
When you're young, I was 17 years old, cars and women were the new things, and I wasn't focusing too much on school. So my mother insisted, demanded that I would go to a recruiter, and for me, it was a Navy recruiter.
Our society, we look at situations where kids are doing poorly and they're struggling, they have behavior problems. The military will fix them. And the reality is, what we're seeing now with the crisis of suicide in veterans, the crisis of substance use and homelessness.
People feel that the military is an escape. The military will not do that for you. They will make you dependent on a system that doesn't care about you in the first place when you grew up in the hood.
I saw racism towards me, and I got picked on and teased and bullied by the other members of my squadron. They would call me racial slurs, like beaner, spick, border jumper, like every day. And they would say, "Oh, I'm just playing with you, I'm just kidding." But it was very prevalent, and it didn't feel like they were kidding.
Racism breeds in the military. Sexism breeds in the military. One of the most sort of horrifying aspects of it was how quickly I became misogynistic when I was in the Marine Corps. The animosity towards women was at a very disturbing level.
If you want to have a career in the Navy as a woman, I say go for it. There's fantastic opportunities.
When you're a woman in the military, you're either a bitch, a slut, or a lesbian, and that's how you're going to be treated. It seems like when you're a woman, specifically in a combat zone, not only do you have to be afraid of the supposed insurgents and the enemies and the Iraqis, but then you also come back to the base, and then there you have to be fearful of your fellow soldiers.
You learn that it's better to just stay silent than to say anything, because the repercussions of saying anything is worse than just dealing with the harassment. And so within 3 hours of reporting my rape, the entire ship knew. And the looks and the stares, it all started. How does it doesn't make sense to me how they vilify the victim. And it blows my mind because I'm the one that got put out. And as far as I know, the man who raped me is still active duty in the military.
The experience of living on base housing was perfect almost. I call it America in the 1950s or 60s, where
homophobia is still an issue. It's just an under the rug, not talked about issue anymore.
And so I started asking Marines that were openly gay or lesbian or bi, have things really not changed, even though Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed? And they replied that yes, it's true. That there were far more Marines that were still afraid of coming out than there were Marines that were out.
People that are still closeted are doing it because they don't want the chance of being beaten or being attacked or being hazed.
Today, battles are waged in nanoseconds, and planes are piloted from the other side of the world.
When you think about war, it's like a video game, and that's how the recruiters portray it too. That's why they have video games for recruitment. Missing from recruiters' talk, missing from the discussion in our society are thousands of soldiers burned, blinded, amputated limbs, suffering from very strong emotional trauma.
I started having really bad nightmares. They were so intense that I thought I was really back in Iraq, and I would wake up and my whole entire body would be covered with sweat, like I just ran 10 miles. And, it would affect me so much that for the whole rest of the day, I was I couldn't really think. My mind was clouded with those thoughts. So I started drinking to go to sleep and stuff. And, I got a DUI. And I got in a bunch of fights out at bars and stuff. Somebody would, say something and I would just explode. I couldn't. I wanted to come back. I wanted to, but I really just couldn't. I couldn't relate.
My dad had to tell me a couple times, he had to grab hold of me and shake me in the middle of the night because I'd be rummaging the house, looking for my machine gun and my helmet and my armor and my boots, And he'd tell me, man, that stuff's not here and you don't have anywhere to go. You're home, you're safe, you need to go to sleep.
Mi sugerencia no es decirle a los jóvenes que no se metan al ejército, sino que hablen con otras personas porque los reclutadores no les van a contar la historia entera. Que vayan a los hospitales a ver a los veteranos que no tienen piernas, que vayan a los hospitales a ver a las personas que están sufriendo de trastorno psicológico antes de tomar esa decisión tan importante en su vida que es meterse al ejército.
I'm in field artillery. I get to go out and blow things up.
It's a lot of fun. Heck, what other job can you fire weapons in?
War is not a game. There is no resetting the button. Once you kill, that's it. And the horrors of killing stay with you forever.
I can't believe that every round we dropped, hit a Taliban fighter. I think about it every single day.
Weapons they're not prejudiced. They don't see good or bad, white or black or whatever. When they go off, they go everywhere.
We're talking about 1 million Iraqis killed and millions others injured. Imagine each one of these 1 million have a story. Each one of these million have families and have relatives and loved ones.
It's traumatizing. You're gonna hurt people or you're gonna get hurt, and it has lasting effects, and
it takes a lot of time to heal from that.
If you do make it through and you come home, it's something that you're going to have to live with the rest of your day, and you're going to have to learn to deal with it.
What you bring back from war is, and I mean this in a literal sense, in your bones, in your blood, in your skin, in your tissues, in your mind, forever.
The uniform is soaked in blood in a way that I didn't really hit home to me when I was a teenager.
It's your life. It's not my life. Whatever I say, my son is never back. It's your life. You have a choice.
Private Justin R. Yeomans at the age of 20.
Private First Class Jeffrey F. Braun, age 19. Corporal Kimafum An Shanawansky, age 22. Private First Class Anthony D. D'Agostino, age 20.